Today I'd like to talk about real money and the purposes of a government, especially involving real money and other related items. Real money is something that's used as a store of value and gives people the ability to trade with one another in a functional way. Real money historically has been gold and silver. There have been other things used as money, and in many cases they worked, at least for a period of time. But gold and silver have been used as money since Adam and Eve. God created the heavens and the earth approximately 6,000 years ago. Adam lived 930 years. So sometime around 1600 BC, the flood happened. So for 930 of those years between the year 4000 and 1600, that's about 2,400 years, Adam lived more than half that, something around half that time. So the people in those days would have known Adam and Eve or their children. So they had a common ancestry and they had a common culture. Gold and silver had to be part of that. Gold and silver are kind of amazing. Just use gold for a second. The number of people, the percentage of increase in the population of the world is approximately 3% a year. Gold is not used up after it's mined and processed. It's made into silver or into ingots or coins or what have you. But the amount of gold in the world increases about 3% a year at the same rate as the population. So if there's about 3 ounces of gold in the entire world for each person in the world, it doesn't change on an annual basis. It's a wonderfully stable currency. There are times like when Spain raided the riches of the New World, Spain had a gold and silver inflation because inflation is simply the increase in the amount of money without a commensurate increase in the amount of production. But basically, silver and gold are stable currencies. And they were the currencies of America until 1913, set the stage for their destruction in this country. With stable currency, you can have free markets. And with stable currency and a free market, people can plan ahead. People can anticipate what things will cost. People can design new ideas, create new inventions, come up with different concepts that are helpful. And as a result, production becomes more efficient, the products that are made become more effective, the prices drop. In a time when there's real money and freedom, you have something called deflation, which is a good thing. The cost of things goes down as the number of things available, the quality of things available, both go up. That's a wonderful thing. People are using the word deflation now to mean prices are going down. Well, that's similar, but it's a change in definition. The reason things are going down now is because we're in a depression. The economy is falling apart. I don't know how you could describe it, like a snowman in a rainstorm. It's just coming apart piece by piece. If we're not careful, the whole thing could fall apart on us because of the fact that we're using fiat money now, and the government is so involved in the lives of people and restricting our ability to make choices. Anyway, with real money, gold and silver, there is no inflation. There will be deflation as long as there's freedom. When there is real money and freedom, several things happen. Number one, money is allocated where it's best used. It's not wasted on wild and frivolous ideas, get-rich-quick schemes. It's only used by people who save the money to produce ideas and products and services that are worthwhile that people need and want. Phony money distorts that and causes the economy to do all kinds of foolish things. With sound money, there's rapid innovation and progress. In the first 100 years or so of this nation, we made more progress in economics, in the sciences, in mathematics, in everything you can imagine than probably any other time in the history of the world. That's partly because sound money was the foundation for all of it. I mentioned the fact that real deflation is associated with the drop in costs. At the same time, you have more and more products with greater and greater quality. When we have sound money, there is no need for the normal person to invest unless that individual has invented a new product or service or is going to open up a business or something. That's an investment. As I've mentioned before in other discussions, an investment is where a person controls as much as possible of the time, effort, and money involved in an enterprise. That's investing. Investing is a farmer planting his field. Investing is an individual in a business. He can choose what he works, where he works, what kind of area he works, the whole thing, how hard he works, how smart he works. That's investing. The investing is appropriate. The normal person has no need to invest because if he sets his money aside, and I'm using gold and silver as an example of real money, the money becomes more valuable every single day, every single year, because the price of things decreases over time, the quality and the quantity increase over time. The reason people gamble now, and again, the definition of gambling is when you put your money somewhere where you have no control over what happens next. Could be Las Vegas on a wheel somewhere, or it could be Wall Street, which is the same as Las Vegas, except there's no wheel. To throw your money down and hope you come up with the right number. The reason people do that is because they're trying to get ahead of inflation because the money is corrupt and it's losing value. So they're trying to make money faster than it loses value to stay ahead of the game. It forces people to become corrupt. It forces people to gamble, and they lose. In the last 15 years, since I got my clients out of the stock market, and it was the right place to be from 1985 to 2000, but in the last 15 years, I've met hundreds of people. Not a single one has as much money now as they had 15 years ago before the market crash in March of 2000. But they're gambling with the hope to get ahead of the inflationary loss of their money value. And it's not working. A few people make money, surely, like a few people make money gambling, but they're very few, maybe one in thousands. Real governments remain small when money is real, because the only way that they can raise money to do the projects they're told to do is by taxation, and there's a limit to how much they can tax because people will rebel. And by borrowing, there's a limit to how much they can borrow because if it's clear they can't pay it back, the game ends. That's the kind of equivalent of the run on the banks that used to happen when we had real money. As long as government coffers remain small, the government will accomplish its legitimate purpose with the money available and not rob the citizens or take more taxes than necessary to get the job done. So they won't have the money to abuse citizens. They won't have the money to attack and conquer other countries. They won't have the money to interfere in the lives and governments of people all over the world. Our federal government was established by the states. The states were established by the people. The states were to serve the people. The federal government was to serve the states and the people. The federal government was given 4 basic jobs. All 4, the federal government has the right and the responsibility to punish transgressors. The first is crimes on the high seas. Somebody had to be in charge of crimes on the high seas, and the federal government was given that job. The second was treason and sedition. In other words, if a person works to undercut his country or works to actively help enemies, the federal government has the right and the responsibility to punish those people. What's amazing to me is our Congress, our presidents, and our Supreme Court are all basically every day actively seditious and also treasonous in many, many ways. It's treason to invade another country that has no, that shows no risk to the security of our country, and do it without even approval of Congress. It's treasonous. The third thing that they're allowed to and required to do is to punish counterfeiting. The government itself does the counterfeiting through its willing partner, the Federal Reserve. That goes along with the weights and measures. A person can't give you half a pound of material and call it a pound. Those things are all punishable. Then there's the fourth thing is defense of the country, which is punishing our enemies for trying to attack and destroy our country. Those are the only four things our federal government is responsible for. Everything else they do is entirely illegitimate. How does all this go back to money? If we had sound money, if we insist on sound money, if we make sure that we own and control sound money within our own families, now we have the basis to limit the power of the government through the purse. Voting is helpful, but if you vote in the nicest person you ever saw, he's soon going to turn color, because you'll see how easy it is to spend unlimited amounts of money by just simply producing it on a computer keyboard. And the resistance is too great for most people.